Wow. Okay. So, to be honest with you, I'm pretty nervous and anxious about this video today because it has been a long time and I will be talking about something that is very vulnerable, something that really changed my life because I went through a very serious breakup and I've learned tons of things and I cannot hold that back from you. I want you to learn from my experience. So this video is for you if you are going through a breakup yourself, or if you are stuck in a relationship and you're terrified of what would happen when you break up, of the emotions that you might face, or the loneliness, right? So I want to share my personal story with you so you can relate and you might get something out of it for your own situation. I want to share with you how I navigated through this process, how I was grieving, and that was something that really genuinely surprised me during that process. I don't want to go too deep into my relationship itself and why it ended, but I want you to know that the way it ended was like a shock to me. I found myself laying in bed and contemplating, what am I doing with this? How do I process things? And so I find myself trying to allow all the emotions in me, right? I wanted to cry, I wanted to let it all out, but for some reason I couldn't. It was like the sadness that I knew was there was just stuck somewhere in my chest. I was trying to think through it, I was trying to write things down, and all of that didn't help. Here's the surprising thing. One night in the first week of the breakup, I put on some music with my speakers and I started doing something that I haven't done in that way before, and that is to dance. And which sounds so simple, but it was surprising for me because even though I like to dance, I always knew that I like dancing. I'm going to clubs and to parties sometimes just because I like dancing. But I never did it as something to process. And when I turned on the music, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna see what my body wants to do. What does my body want to tell me? And it was more like an exploration. I was just curious about what happens if I start dancing with all of these emotions stuck in my body. I moved in a way that I never did before, like kind of trying to express the way I feel. There was no performance. No, I didn't do it for anybody else, but I was kind of just happy doing it for myself. It was like a performance for myself. Sure enough, while I was doing my weird dance moves, I finally got the emotion to move through my body. It came up, and this blockage that was like stuck in my chest, stuck in my throat, it finally hit my head, and I started crying while I was dancing, and it was beautiful and sad, and it was one of the most life-changing experiences of my life. Maybe because I didn't expect it. I was trying to be in my head, journaling, writing thoughts down, processing through conversations. And these things help, but nothing helped me as much as movement, especially a way of creative movement, like dancing would be in that case that I did. So whenever you feel like you're stuck in your head or you're dealing with grief and nothing seems to help, then try something new. Try to get out of the head, get into the body when there's strong emotions like grief coming up, which is so complex. I realized that there's this intelligence in our body that we can activate through movement, like yoga, like breathwork, and we can activate it. Although I found yoga, breathwork to be very structural, what helped me was really the creative, the chaotic aspect of it, to just go for it. So that's the dancing. But there's a few other things that I did that really, really made a difference in how I moved through the grief. And I'll walk you through it quickly because there's more that I want to talk about, especially some really, really interesting observations that will help you as well. When I went through the breakup, the first thing I kept on telling myself is, I accept what it is. I am going through a breakup. It is the right thing. I'm feeling sad. I'm grieving. I kept on repeating those things in my mind or even out loud. I would say, like, that's how I feel. It is okay. I'm sad about it. I'm not feeling great, you know? But I can't change reality. That is the most important thing. For whatever you face in life, if you approach the situation and accept it, accept what is there, it makes things easier. And I'm not saying you'd have to accept and do nothing about it. If you feel like there's something you can do, go ahead and do it. But the current situation is what it is. There's no negotiation about the past. A part of me wanted to say, look, I should have said this, I should have done that, I should have done things differently. Oh, maybe we could save it. But what really saved me was to say, I accept what is. Which leads me to the next thing that I did. It relates to what I said before, and that is accepting my emotions wholeheartedly. So I would lay in bed and I felt the urge of distracting myself, grabbing the phone, calling a friend, and I forced myself to just sit with my emotion, to just be there, lie in bed, and just sense into myself. How do I feel right now? Where is the feeling in my body? What do I sense right now? What are my sensations? What are my thoughts? Really shed the light of mindfulness into myself and accepting it. See, like this works together, allowing my emotions and accepting radically what's going on, which I admit is not easy to accept how you feel, because it sucks. You don't want this to video, you don't want to suffer so much, but you have to say, okay, that's how it is. And I was moving through different phases that I found really interesting, and I want to share that with you. On a daily basis, I would go through cycles of different thoughts and feelings. For example, in the morning, I would wake up feeling very vulnerable. I would really feel like I miss her, I want the relationship back, I want to write a big letter, I'm thinking of options, how to save the relationship, and so forth. And in the afternoon, this would disappear. I would sit there and be like, it's less emotionally charged. I'm still grieving, but I know it's the right thing. I kind of feel the truth, for myself. I know, okay, this is the right thing. I have to move through this. There's no way out of this. Going back and trying to repair things is not the way to move forward for me. And so that happens during the day. And at night again, usually I would feel vulnerable again. And I have my head spinning and spiraling at night, and I couldn't sleep, I would be very alert. And so this cycle continued. And because it continued, I could see the pattern. I knew, in the morning, I would wake up, I'm feeling that way again. I want to write that letter. Okay, but maybe I should wait until the afternoon and, with a clear head, decide what I want to do. And so I did. And it's probably saved me like some really messages that I could have sent that would have damaged the process. And this is why I never asked to try again. I knew it's not the right way. But there's something we did together as a freshly separated couple, which was really, really so important for us, which helped us to move our relationship into another chapter. Because eventually we would sit down and talk things through. And for me, it was really important to process this together, to talk about how we feel with things and be there for each other like we were before. So this is really like, I think it's devastating if you have to do the breakup just suddenly. It's just like you rip apart and then everybody's doing their own thing. I have done that in a past relationship and I regretted it deeply because I wasn't even there. I was stuck in India during COVID, a different story, but I couldn't physically be there for the breakup. And years later, I realized, wow, there was still something stuck in that relationship because we never really processed this together. So with this relationship, I wanted to do things differently. And that is the reason we kind of took each other on that journey. We were grieving together. And that was beautiful. And I'm really, really grateful I was able to do that with my ex-partner. The trick there was that I could still feel resentment sometimes or disappointment about how things are going, but I didn't act it out. I wasn't like, oh, you suck, and why did you do that to me? No, I made sense of it myself. I was trying to understand her, taking her perspective. This compassion for myself and for my partner was, I think, the reason we could have this conversation a couple of times actually, and to really become friends after this. And it's not just my partner I talked to. Obviously, I needed my friends around me. And that is also another learning I had. And that is, I always thought I need to figure things out myself. I need to process stuff myself. Otherwise, I'm dependent on other people. I don't want to be dependent. I want to be independent. But I realized, no, that's not how it works. We are social creatures and we need each other. We need to co-regulate with others, right? And there's a difference between codependence and co-regulation. And in times of need like that, I need my friends, I need my family, I need to talk about things. I don't have to just do this all by myself. You don't have to do this all by yourself when you're going through this. If you feel grieving, do your best to get out of your room sometimes, meet some people, even though you feel miserable. You don't have to do this all alone by yourself. So to recap, the things that I did that really helped me to move through this grief, through the breakup, was getting out of my head, moving my body in a creative, fun way that released these emotions, that helped me to process everything in my body and not just like in my head. Then I would process this with my partner or with my friends, co-regulation. And I was radically honest with myself and with the situation. And I was really trying my best to accept the situation as it is. So these things alone are things that you can do when you move through a phase of grief. A big reason this breakup didn't break me was that when everything was done, I was of course sad and I felt lonely. But it is not that I was grieving my lost self. It's not that I put all these years into a relationship merging with somebody else and losing myself, losing my needs or my interests. Over the 4 years, these beautiful 4 years that we had together, I was working on myself. I was reading a lot. I was journaling. I was making content. I was trying new hobbies. I was going to the gym, doing music, and I did all these beautiful things for myself. Of course, sharing it, with my partner at the time. We did many things together, of course, too. Like we would go on hiking trips together and we had many friends together. So we did things together, but I had stuff that was just for me. When things ended, I just had to pick these things up, as normal. I just did the things that I always do, that make me happy, like making music, making content, which I finally get to do right now with this YouTube video, which has been such a dream for me to actually get back to this beautiful channel and to talk to you guys here. And of course, to be honest with you, when we broke up, after that, I would go much more into this direction. I would pursue my interests even more than before. I was feeling like, okay, now I have more time, I have more things. So after the acute phase of grief, I would throw myself into the scene, meeting people to make music with. I would go to different jam sessions, and I picked up a new hobby that I really want to talk to you about in a different video. When things ended, I knew that I was still there through the whole time. I've learned to be there for myself, to always be able to talk to my own inner child, to take this child by the hands from time to time whenever I feel sad. And that is the independent part of me that wants to, be able to be there for myself, which is important. So we have this kind of tension between I have to be there for myself. I'm the only one who can be responsible for how I feel and what I'm going through. And I need people in my life that can help me to co-regulate. I'm not alone in this planet. I'm not separated from anybody else. I'm part of a bigger organism, called humanity. I'm part of a tribe, part of a family. And that's a beautiful thing. And when we bring this together, if I spend enough time to be there for myself and to process things in my own way, and then I go out talking to friends, being with family, then I have the best of both worlds. The best of both worlds. Why is that so hard to say? Wow, this has been a lot. And if you still watch that video, I'm deeply grateful for you that I can share this with you. I still feel a bit awkward about sharing something like that, and after such a long time of not making YouTube videos. So I really hope you stick around and follow me on this path. This video is the beginning of a new chapter in my life and my channel, where I'm going to share more stuff about personal development, spirituality, emotional work, inner work, all the things that keep me up all night. I want to share them with you so you can learn from my experiences. So I'm going to keep it short as well. It's long enough as it is, right? Okay. Much love, my friend. And stay funky.